I'm the project manager for Rane Commercial, Denon Professional, and Marantz Professional, which is a part of inMusic brands. Our world headquarters is in Cumberland, Rhode Island, but we were fortunate enough to join everyone here today at INFOCMM. So I assume that everyone here is mainly dealer, distributor, or coming to learn either the Halogen software, right? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Does anyone here have experience with Halogen, Rane Commercial? All new. All right, wonderful. So I'm very excited then. So Halogen is a DSP system. It has been around for quite some time. It was fortunate enough to join the inMusic brands family about 3 years ago, and from then we've been capitalizing on our system, building it and making it better. With that being said, we did introduce about 6 months or so ago our flagship product, which is the Terminal 1010X. It is a multi-DSP processor. I do have one over here. It is going to be running our Halogen system. So it's a rack unit, 1 RU, very, very powerful. I'll show you some images so we don't have to take it off of Halogen right now. The 1010X. 1010X is unlike any other multi-DSP or multi-processor that we have in our line. The biggest difference that you'll see right as looking at it is our front panel LED. The LED is full color, it's very vibrant, it's very obvious. When you walk up to a rack, it gives you minor controls, so it is still very secure, but it's an instant access to what's going on inside of your system. This is unlike anything we've done before. Hal 3S doesn't have this. It was introduced right with our 1010X. Rear panel of the 1010X is also very, very different than any of our other processors as well. The main difference is that our 1010X, given the name, is 10 ins and 10 outs of analog audio. They all feature on our Euro blocks. Green is all of our inputs, orange is all of our outputs. If you know anything about the Halogen software, this is standard throughout everything. These color combinations that you do see on the back of any of our hardware do match our software. So it's very visual, it's very easy and pleasing, and you can kind of follow yourself just with colors. So we do use all of our Euro blocks. And then we also have our RAD ports. We give you 6 RAD Plus ports. RAD Plus ports, which right here are our RJ45 connectors. You can use up to 6 remotes to control all of your zones that are also set up inside of the Halogen software. You can also connect what we call a RAD16Z, which is a little black box. The benefit of adding a RAD16Z to any of these RAD ports is you can then expand the analog audio of your Terminal 1010X from your 10 in and 10 out to add additional 12 in, 12 outs, giving you an analog setup of 22 by 22 ins and outs just on the system alone. Another revolutionary thing that we did with the Terminal 1010X is we added in an expansion card port outside of our RJ45 ports. We do have 2 expansion ports. This particular one is used very mainly right now for our Dante X card. The Dante X card allows us to add 32 by 32 onto the Dante network. Adding the analog 10 by 10, if we had the RAD16Zs connected to our RAD Plus ports and we have a Dante card, your Terminal 1010X over the Dante network can handle 54 in and out. It's a very powerful system. We also have your Logic Control I/O. The Logic Control I/O is plus 5 volts of power. It's for logic controls, so you can use switches, toggles, or third-party software, or third-party hardware, excuse me. We do have an Ethernet port. Your Ethernet port can make it so that your Terminal 1010 lives on your home network or your commercial network. It's also used, as you can see with my system here, to connect the box back to your software so that you can connect it back to the Halogen software here and we can get up and running. Good morning. I know we still have some people walking in, so I'm just going to go back over who I am, why I'm here. My name is Chrul. I am the project manager for Rane Commercial, Denon Professional, and Marantz Professional. I'm here today to present Rane Commercial, Zonetech, Terminal 1010X, Halogen, and some of our other new hardware. So I'm going over just the back panel of our 1010X, which, as you see, we're almost done with. The last port here is another RJ45 connector, and it's our expansion port. The expansion port is for anything that we're going to do in the future. Right now we do have some things that are up in the air that haven't launched or been announced yet. So currently we are saying that this is for your analog or your legacy support for any of our products. There would be an EXP X1, anything like that that you have in your rack, the 1010X will support it. So, like I said, the Terminal 1010X was revolutionary when Rane became a part of inMusic brands. mainly because of the addition of Dante, the ins and outs, and the support for all of the legacy products that did stay with the original Rane. We wanted to make sure that anything that you had prior would work with your current system if you decided to upgrade. One other thing we did that was very, very special and slightly revolutionary to a DSP company was that we made our multiprocessor ready to go right out of the box. That means tech support calls are lowered, because as soon as you plug in your multiprocessor, it's ready to go. It will pass audio. It may give you a few flags here and there if you have remotes connected to it saying there's a mismatch, but it's going to understand what's happening. The reason we did that is so that you don't have to spend hours on the phones with your customers or trying to teach them the Halogen software. We gave them a training tutorial immediately as soon as they connected. I connected my 1010X before we started the meeting, but I'm going to show you again how easy it is just to kind of get your 1010X connected to the box and get it running with Halogen to see this early beginning stages of training inside of this multiprocessor. First, IEC cable gets connected to your 1010X. We need some sort of power. Outside of our Ethernet port, the RJ45 connection on the back of your terminal 1010X, you connect it to any sort of laptop. Halogen is supported on Windows laptops, only Windows operating systems, not laptops. It's Windows 7 and up. We have started to support it on Windows 10, fully operational. In order to connect to your system, if we do open the Halogen software again, I'll just start right over from the very beginning of seeing that. You're prompted right here with the dialog box. You can create a configuration, open one that you already have, or we can connect. I named my terminal 1010X INFOCMM 2019, so this is the one that it's looking for. If it hadn't already been connected, you would go to the Open Connect window. This is my 1010X, right here on the table, ready to go. All we have to do, hit connect. It gives you a time of how long it's going to take you to connect to this particular unit. And what it's doing now is it's actually pulling the configuration from the hardware's RAM and bringing it into the Halogen software so that you know exactly what the box has internally. That Open Connect window is also very, very helpful because say that you got a terminal 1010X and its firmware wasn't updated. What we would say right on that Connect window, instead of get config, it would actually say update firmware. So right here, where it says reboot Hal, it would say update firmware. That box, after you pressed update firmware, would change into a status box to show you that the firmware of your terminal 1010X is being updated. Less than 10 minutes and you're ready to go. After that, we'll connect. We pulled in our configuration file. And like I said, this is our configuration file that your customers will get right out of the box, ready to go. We're going to go over, so basically here on this first patch before I leave, this is your hardware tab. It shows you all your ins and outs, all of the available connections that you have for any RAD devices, and your expansion cards, which is where our Dante would go, your logic IOs. So you can kind of name everything and start getting going right here, see what we have. You can see that I've already kind of named some of our sources and gone in and out with this. Again, this is the exact same thing you'll see out of the box. Moving over to our processing tab, this is everything that's going on inside of your configuration. We've added some quick little tips and notes and some organization just to kind of give your customers a glance and to see why did they put this in the box? What is it doing? Simple. We made it so it's open. The system here, like I said before, all of our green is our inputs, and all of our orange is our outputs. So from start to end, we do have a lot going on, but we've tried to break it down in small portions just to kind of make everyone more comfortable with what this configuration is doing. If you start to zoom in, here, right away, press fit to see everything that's going on. Let's move over to here. Click on the green gains to adjust, click on the green blocks to adjust your gain. So we have some very quick tips just to go right in. Different boxes for inputs and outputs. So we are trying to drive customers to say, click on things, don't be afraid, do whatever you want. If they start clicking around and they mess something up, easily can get them another master configuration. They don't have to save the one here in the box. It does do live updates. As soon as they go to disconnect, it's going to ask if they want to save or not. They can just say don't save. It will stop, keep the configuration file as it was out of the box, and they can continue. We have a bunch of wire tags going. We've also kind of labeled what we've done with all of our inputs. Master announcements for all zones. Over here we give some information about channels 1 and 2 are source A, 3 and 4 and B, 5 and 6 are C, 7, 8 and D, 9 and 10, they're mounts. Here they seem to have been summed to mono in this configuration, so there we go. All sources are stereo, given the 1s and 2s. So very simple. On this too, this is one of the most important parts of this configuration file. As we know, the Terminal 1010X is going to live in a rack that's likely in the back room. And one of the most appealing parts of DSP is that you have a remote that can control all of your audio and send it to any zones. What we did here was we added a zone processor, which right away has a distributed program bus. The distributed program bus inside of Halogen is something that any of your inputs, if they're sent to your distributed program bus, they can then be selected from any of the zones that have a zone processor. Right away, if you load a zone processor onto your configuration file, which I can go over a little bit more later, you have all of these inputs that can go to any outputs that you have then selected. So like we see here in this very first one, we have a zone processor that's going from a distributed program bus. If we go back to the beginning of the chain, we would find our, well, right here, let's see where our program bus is, right down here. We have sources A, B, C, and D all going into a distributed program bus. So that means up here, channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all being sent to a zone processor. And that distributed program bus here for all of these is going to every single one of our outputs. Sorry for the shakiness. So like I said, right out of the box, you have access to all of your zones anywhere you want. You have inputs and outputs. Your Terminal 1010X will easily pass audio as soon as it's opened by an end user. If they have remotes with this master configuration, all they have to do is go back to the RADs and select whatever remote it is that they have. And it's ready to go. Another thing that we started to do that's very forward for a DSP system is with 1010X and Halogen 7.0, we announced the Halogen Wizard. Currently, the Halogen Wizard is a library of multiple configuration files that your customers can access at any time. To access the wizard, when they're inside of Halogen, they click on this little wizard button. It will immediately open their browser to the wizard page. Here, they can select through 8 different configurations. Some of these do have multiple configurations inside, depending on what they're looking for. They can either take these configurations and load them exactly as they'd like into their system, or they can tweak them. But regardless, we've given all of your customers a point to start at, so they're not left with an empty box that won't pass audio and a system or a software that they don't know how to configure. We've given them tips and tools to get them started right away. We also do still have our 100 level and our 200 level videos on our YouTube page. We have all of our knowledge-based articles up as well, which do include more in details on how to do a web UI from your DR6 touchscreen and all sorts of different things. So we cover a vast majority of just support as soon as you even start looking at a 1010X. These configuration files can be accessed before you buy any of our products. That way you can start to look at what Halogen is. Halogen can be downloaded before you even have any Rane commercial hardware as well. So that way you can start playing with it, seeing what it does, have your configuration file already ready to go by the time that your 1010X hits your doorstep. Do we have any questions right now about Terminal 1010 Halogen Wizards? Good? Okay. So the next thing that I would like to cover, which I also have here, I do have a box which if you want to see, another very powerful one of our systems that kind of just brought them along to, if we want to take a look, this is our Zonetech. I think that antenna on the back is starting to twist off. The Zonetech is a very powerful system. The Zonetech is unlike the 1010X because it provides a solution inside of the box. Unlike the 1010X, the Zonetech has Halogen light embedded inside of it. You don't have to connect this box to the Halogen software. You don't have to make a configuration. Everything that you do is done right on another beautiful LED screen. This is an image of our screen here. The Zonetech is also 1 RU. On our rear panel, You have 6 inputs, 6 outputs. 6 outputs gets an asterisk on it. Our 6th output is a stereo channel, technically makes it 7. If you go visit our booth, number 5551, you will see a Zonetech inside of one of our racks. Right underneath that Zonetech, you're going to see our brand new amplifier, the Zone Power 8. It's a 1 RU amplifier, 70 volts and 100 volts, 150 watts per channel. 8 channels. Why 8? Because the Zonetech needs 7, and you have an 8th just in case you need it. That is a Rane solution, and that is Rane plug and play. We are currently using in our booth the Zone Power 8 to power the configuration that I designed for our Terminal 1010X. We have a DR6 active and ready to go to play with, and we have a bunch of speakers and sources connected to our 1010X that you can start playing around and listening to and going forward. This product is powered on here so that you can start to see how you're going to set it up. Like I said, you don't need Halogen for this software. It doesn't connect to Halogen, so why would you want something like this? Because everything is done right on the front panel. You have of the 4 unbalanced RCA inputs, and then you have your stereo feeds, or your balanced inputs for 5 and 6. You still have your logic, you have your remotes. You have 1 through 6 remotes, a master remote, and a paging port. Why would we have a zone remote and master remote? What could be the difference? The zone remotes are DRZH remotes. A sleek little design that will easily allow you to connect your Zonetech and select any of your zones from anywhere within your building. We do run Cat 5e, Cat 5.6, shielded cables up to 350 feet. This product will allow you to take your Zonetech out of the rack and into your restaurants, into your health clubs, into your hospitality centers. This is a solution. At first touch, you will see this first screen here, which is a volume control. In what zone? You press the knob in, you get a zone selector. So that's what our zone remotes are in brown. But why do we still have a pager port and a master remote in blue? The master remote is for our DR6, which is a touch screen. The touch screen is wonderful because it gives you instant control. Unlike the DRZH, what the DR6 will do when it's connected to a Zonetech is on the right-hand side, it's going to actually show you the controls for all your zones, so you can instantly just select them. DR6 gives a level of security as well, so you can kind of enter in different passwords and such for different configurations. And this is just our touchscreen solution. So it is supported on both the Terminal 1010X and the Zonetech, as well as the DRZH. On the Terminal 1010X, you can configure the way that your DR6 looks. We provide the faders, we provide the buttons and the toggles. You can provide whatever image you want in your background. If you want your company logo, go for it. You want some colors, whatever you want. An image on the back, it's all up to you. On the Zonetech, it is depicted, it does look different than this, but basically it will say master controls, levels, and then your zones all on the right side. So it's already set up and ready to go. So aside from your front panel, which gives you multiple control over your zones and your inputs as well as your stream, you also have a web UI. What you can do with your Zonetech, connect the RJ45 Ethernet connector to your computer. Instantly will pull up an IP address for you. Go ahead and log on, control any of your zones, update your firmware, or add different levels of security to that web UI so that you can have anybody you want walk up to the Zonetech, and either they can access it remotely onto their web UI, and one of your employees might have this sort of level of access where they can only control 1 and 2. But your manager gets all zones because he knows what he's doing when he walks up to this Zonetech, and he knows what his customers want to hear. So we do provide multiple solutions, and they're all on the touch of a button right here on the front of your Zonetech. Any questions on Zonetech? I'm sorry? The antenna on the back is for Bluetooth. Yep, so it does have Bluetooth, so that's why we have this stream. So the streaming is AirPlay, DLNA, or Bluetooth. So that's why our last zone, the 6th zone, is a stereo, because you want to make sure that your Bluetooth or any of that media is actually streaming in stereo, not mono. So that's the solution we have here. You'll also see, too, on the far side, the LEDs. You do have a power button, so obviously you can tell that your Zonetech is on and running properly. You have a stream button, so if that's connected to a stream, where it's either AirPlay or Bluetooth, that will be illuminated. If you're running DLNA, your computer link will be illuminated, but the top stream will not be. So even just as a really quick glass, you're walking past, you know exactly what it is. So the Ethernet port, which I failed to mention, as well as a web UI, also DLNA and UPnP. Quick connections to computers. This product I want to bring up. It is configured as well in our booth, which is again 5551 out on the floor. We have our Zone Pager connected to our Terminal 1010X in our booth. But this product is compatible with a Zonetech or a Terminal 1010X. Everything is done, it's done a little bit differently. On the Zonetech, you just decide what zones you want to set up for your groupings. You can page all, you can do really whatever kind of configuration, and that's done on the front panel of your Zonetech. Inside of your 1010X, it's done inside of the configuration file. We do have right here, under our processing tab, go to paging. You can set up multiple scenarios, multiple zones. You can even name your different stations that you want so you know what's going, what's not. The Zone Pager has a chime, busy, and ready LED on it. The Zonetech does ship out of the box for every single input, every single zone on the Zone Pager. The chime is enabled, so it will play first. Then it should duck the audio automatically on your Zonetech and play. You can do priority and everything right here in the Halogen front panel for your Zonetech, but it's super simple. I could even plug it in right now. You basically select an input or select a zone, hit the little arrow buttons to go right back over. Let me go back to an image here so you know what I'm talking about. Go to a zone, use the arrows. It literally says page enabled. Use our info knob here, our rotary knob, to switch between enabled or disabled. Move over, chime enabled or disabled for any zone. It's good to go. It's already ready for you. This connects, the Zone Pager connects to your Terminal 1010X or your Zone Pager through a RAD port. Right on the back of the Zonetech, we had put a pager port. Just as an update, customers do have to update if the product isn't already shipped. It should continuously ship with the latest firmware, but there is a firmware update listed on our website, which is done through the web UI. It's version 1.1.54, which you probably will never remember. I happen to because this is my life, but very easy update. Basically sign onto your web UI, go into your settings page, go down to firmware, it's done. We'll reboot, and you're ready to go. Yeah. In Halogen, you have a little bit of control over the way that you can duck and what kind of sources you have, scenarios. You can set up the all. You don't even have to have the all. You only want 3 zones. Very intuitive. All you have to do is do a control, drag it onto your configuration file, and it's done. It doesn't even need to be linked to anything. All you need to do is just have the pager on there, and it's ready to go. Yeah? You should be able to use the chime. I do have to investigate this a little further. So with the chime, we did have a few things going back and forth with our latest build of Halogen, which we do currently have in our QA testing. One thing we are finding with the Terminal 1010X is that to enable that all button, you have to set up a few scenarios, which sometimes is not desirable. So at this time, we do have a limited amount of the chime and the all from the 1010X into the Zone Pager, but we're actively testing that right now. Any other questions? Great. Let's see. So yeah. I'm going to disconnect from my 1010X. And then basically just zoom in on some other things that are going on here, just so we can see. One of my favorite features of Halogen that I always like to point out are these little tags here. They're literally everywhere, and most people look at them and go, they don't know what that is. These are called wire tags. Basically what it does is that instead of clicking and dragging all over your screen so that you have 100 ins and outs and what's going on, you just have little wire tags that are easily named. Your wire tags will actually show up in your source wire tags, destination wire tags. As soon as you set up a wire tag, it's accessible here, and you can put it anywhere you want on the map. That alleviates the idea of if we deleted our actual wire tag or got rid of it, wants me to do text. Oops, sorry. If I want to bring this anywhere, I now have to drag it. Then I'm going to move up my mixer to make sure it lines up, all sorts of things. Having a wire tag alleviates you having to move this all around. So yeah. And then into some of the blocks we have going on here as well in our default configuration. My keypad doesn't want to respond. Like I said, I think an important part of our configuration file that ships inside of your 1010X is that we wanted you to be able to pass audio, plug anything in, go. A lot of Denon pieces don't have gain structure on the back of them. So what happens if your customer plugs in their 1010X and has their source, their input source playing at full volume, and then their amp is also at full volume out into their ceiling speakers, they plug in this 1010X, they hit play on their input source, and it's very loud. If they opened Halogen first, you can see we put a ducker, a shelf, a parametric EQ, and a limiter. So that while you can immediately pass audio through your 1010X, we decided we wanted to help you by saving your system before you just kind of went crazy and plugged everything in and hit play all at once and had some more trouble. So it is here. Every one of our blocks is selectable. Immediately go ahead and do all of your own settings. Zone processor, it does have this pile here. Double click. Priority selector, level, paging zone, it's already there. IOs on the side here. DSP, dynamics, filters, conferencing selectors, and our control. Everything's right there. Easy linking tabs. See where we're going on here. Quick access. Control systems would be something like our DR6, so we can design all of our pages. Like I said, all of our controls are here. I want a level zone. Drag it on. Go through the linking process, which we do have full information for on our website. I want logins and logouts. But then I decide at the end that I'm done with Halogen. I made all of these changes like we saw. Do you want to save or you don't want to save? And if I was still connected to my 1010X, which you can see that I'm not because I don't have a green box over my connect, you're always going to be prompted with, wait, are you sure you didn't make a mistake? Are you sure you really want to go forward with that? So again, we're protecting you from the start to the end and making it as easy as possible to welcome yourself into a DSP market. Any other questions? Good? All right. Thank you so much for coming. Again, our booth is 5551. Please feel free to come down and check out the Terminal 1010X and the Zonetech that we have set up there, ready for you to start playing with. I got a DR6 going to a bunch of zones. Please come down and touch all the gear. It's the first time you can see all of it, hopefully. Thank you. Have a great day.